Hey guys, Jason with B3. Just want to do an unboxing of our F40 LSD Install Kit, as well as the F40 WaveTrac LSD. So, there we go. Now, the WaveTrac LSD is what I would consider the best LSD on the market for the F40. If you'd like more information on as to why, I'd go on to their website. It says right here. Well, that tells about their warranty, but that's their website. And see the WaveTrac difference as to why they're different and why they're better than the other differentials on the market. All right, so let's start with the differential. They are packed very nicely. Very nicely. The foam is cut perfectly to fit the differentials. So you can be assured that no shipping damage will occur for your WaveTrac LSD. These are very, very nice units. As you can see, they use all ARP fasteners. This entire bottom piece, oh no, I'm sorry. This piece is separate from this piece. You can see the shims underneath these gears, and these are replaceable for different types and thicknesses of shims that will change the action of the differential, how easily it slips, as well as how easily it continues to slip. So these are adjustable, which is very nice. Tunable. These are actually more geared towards Auto X just because of how tunable the slip is. Sometimes you want it to slip a certain amount of time under a given load, and sometimes you don't want it to slip at all. That's all up to the racer and the end user, so the adjustability is nice for those types. Beautiful unit. It's all top tier grade material. I believe it's 9310 treated steel. So there's that. And we'll get into the B3 LSD Install Kit. This kit comes complete with literally everything you will need to do the installation, minus the tools. However, everything else that you will need, including, the tools and some other knickknacks like, scrub brushes and that type of thing, is all illustrated in the instructions under what else you will need, and I'll show you that here in a second. They are always vacuum packaged. This will keep the fasteners, the bearings, anything that's not stainless steel, it'll keep it from corroding. It'll keep it in the original condition it was in before it was packaged. So this could be put on the shelf in your garage or whatever for however long you'd like, which is nice. I'm going to open up the paperwork, that way I can show you the list of things it says it comes with, as well as all the other things, and we can kind of mark off what we have. Okay. Now, kit includes 2 diff bearings. And those are right here. As you can see, these are also vacuum sealed. And it comes with a little note, just so you know, do not remove bearings until ready for assembly. That's because these are pre-lubed, these are cleaned before they're packaged and lubed. So you don't have to do any cleaning or lubrication to the bearings before installation. They are ready to install right out of the package. Some people don't realize that when you get bearings, new bearings, for instance, that they need to be cleaned before you install them. You can't just, and I don't care what the manufacturer says or anybody else, any bearing that you will be using inside a transmission, engine, whatever, clean it before you assemble it. Clean it before you use it. That's just the way it needs to be, because you cannot trust, you can't trust the manufacturer to make sure these are 100% clean when you receive them. So we got the diff bearings. Next we have sealant tube with applicator. And this stuff is really nice. This is what I've been using for the F40 for years. And it's really good stuff. And as it says, it comes with applicators, that being this tube here, which you can cut to the exact width of sealant that you want to come out. In this case is about a 3mm bead. And then this is also nice too, because it comes with this little twisty thing that you wrap around the bottom of the tube, and you just twist it, and that's what pushes the sealant out. So it's a very controlled way of applying the sealant to the case. It's good stuff. And 2 axle seals. These are OEM axle seals. I do not use anything else, and I do not recommend anything else. OEM is good stuff. It's good rubber, and yeah, we stick with what works. Grease, optional with the ARP fasteners. That comes in this vacuum packaged set here. I'll go ahead and pull that out. It's just a little container of grease, and this is moly. So it's good stuff. You can keep the extra and use it for whatever you need to use your moly for. But moly lubricant is good to have around. A preload adapter. Now the preload adapter is what you use to turn the differential while it's in the transmission, so you can measure the amount of torque it takes to turn the differential. And it just goes in there like that, has a nice snug fit. You take an impact and tighten it in there, and it will snug up and turn the differential in the transmission while you're checking the rotational torque. All right. Shim pack. Now the shim pack comes with, I'm not going to open this, but the shim pack comes with every size you will potentially need to, set the proper preload of the differential. Comes with enough shims and enough sizes of shims to go from sizes 0.80 millimeter all the way up to 1.2, I believe maybe 1.3 millimeters of preload. So there's that. press adapter. It's simply just a piece of another inner race of another bearing that we pull apart, clean, and set into the kit, or set aside to be used for kits. Upgraded case hardware with throwout bearing hardware and shift turret hardware. That would be all of these. The case hardware, I will grab some of the stock stuff. It's all, as you can see, 8.8 grade. That's actually, can't see that real. Hold on. That's a little better here. See, stock hardware is 8.8 grade. That's actually 8.8 grade for all the fasteners in the F40 transmission on the exterior case, as well as shift turret and the throwout bearing hardware. It's all 8.8 grade, which has about 120,000 psi tensile strength, which isn't bad. It's equivalent to grade 5 of standard hardware. Now, why these are considered upgraded is because they are a higher grade. They are 10.9 grade fastener. And what that means is, obviously, it's got higher tensile strength. These have roughly 150,000 psi of tensile strength. So, and again, it's all of the case hardware. Includes all of these bolts. It's for the case perimeter to secure the case halves together. And there is, for the stock transmission comes with 4 of these also. So they have a stud on top of the nut. Now with the cobalt swaps, we only utilize the stud part on 2 of these. So with the cobalt swap kits, Cobalt LSD Install Kits for the F40, we only include 2 of these to replace these. Now, if you had, a Regal or any other application where you would need the studs, we provide the number of studs you will need. So, these are actually 45 or 45H grade, which is equivalent to 14.9 grade metric, which is very, very, very high grade. 12.9 is normally considered the highest grade metric fastener, but 45H is a step above that. It actually has more tensile strength than your standard chromoly 8740 ARP fastener, which is roughly about 200,000 psi. And these have just over that. So they come with the nut is already in place where it needs to be. It's Loctited in place, so you don't have to worry about tightening it to the right height. And they come with nylock. All these nuts, and as well as the nylock nuts, are 10.9 grade as well. So, but these come with the nylock nuts for securing the shift cable bracket, which is the only reason the studs are used for, say, the cobalt swaps. The other studs that come with the F40 on the front of the case, and that's used for other things. I can't remember what it's used for in the Regal, something to do with an extra bracket that holds something. But yeah, if you have a Regal, we'll supply you with enough studs and enough nylock nuts to take care of that for you. Okay, and then on the inside of the case, there is one case fastener. It's larger than the rest, which is a 10 millimeter. We also include that as well. Obviously the stock fastener is at 8.8 grade, 10.9 here. And the throwout bearing hardware, which actually, these are the older style we used to provide. I will get to that in a second. These are for the shift turret, which is the shifter assembly that slides into the transmission. The Regal transmissions and 2011, roughly 2010 and up, F40 transmissions, they have the shifter assembly, which is held in with 2 of these. The ones previous to that held in with 3. So obviously, depending on the year of transmission, you get 2 or 3 of these. Now, like I was saying, these are their older style throwout bearing hardware, and we had an issue with some of the throwout bearings. Just the casting was a little off, and the flange was just a little bit too big for it to fit perfectly with all of the throwout bearings. Like I said, there's some casting imperfections, which is to be expected with a high volume part such as throwout bearings. So we replaced these with these fasteners. They're the same thing except for the flange diameter, as well as the wrench size needed is smaller. So flange diameter with these is roughly 14 millimeter. Flange diameter with these is just over 13. These take a 10 millimeter socket to install, and these take an 8 millimeter. Still 10.9 grade. And last but not least, ARP ring gear fasteners. You get 12 of these. Love ARP. They are great. Great fasteners, high quality. All right, and last thing we got is the instructions, which are what's in my hand. So, like I said, it gives you a list of recommended tools. 0 to 20 inch-pound torque wrench, dial or beam style. If you don't know what that is, the beam style is the one that has a beam on the bottom. It points towards the torque number. The dial is what I use because it's much more precise and easy to use, and I'll show you what that looks like. Now these, I wouldn't recommend going out and buying them if just for this job. If you have some money to burn, then yes, by all means, get yourself one of these. They're very, very nice tools. However, they are limited. They're just limited in their uses because they only go to a certain amount of inch pounds. Like this one I use for the F35 transmission because it's F35 transmission. Rotational torque on the output shaft is, I don't want to give out any secrets here, but let's just say it's not above 15 inch pounds. Now, inch pounds is not the same as foot pounds, obviously. Inch pounds is, very, very light amount of torque, well, especially when we're talking about 15 inch pounds. Just to illustrate here, I can turn this by hand and get 3 inch pounds there. So very, very accurate tool. Now with the F40, you need to have roughly around 20 to 30, or you're going to be reading between 15 and 30 inch pounds. So you just make sure you get a torque wrench in that range. I say 0 to 20 inch pounds here, 0 to 20 plus inch pounds. So a 0 to 80 is most common. You can use that. It's just, the ones that will read lower, which are very, very difficult to find in the beam style. The ones that, obviously read lower, have less numbers, will have better resolution for you, and you'll be able to more accurately read and adjust the rotational torque. So that's, again, what I use here. These are about roughly almost $200 each. So if you would like to make the investment, you can. It would be smart to get a 0 to 50 inch-pound one. If you do other things like rear ends for rear-wheel drive cars, these are used to check the pinion rotational torque for, when you set the lash on the rear ends. You need to have the pinion set properly first, and normally those are up to 50 inch-pounds. Rotational torque is what they call for. Some of them are upwards of 75 I've seen in very, very heavy duty applications. But again, these are very expensive, worth the investment if you're going to be doing a lot of this work, or if you have the money. These are the best things to get. CDI Torque is the brand name. They are manufacturer for Snap-on, so it's good quality stuff. And obviously, the basics: digital caliper, mallet and hammer, cold chisels and punches. 10-ton hydraulic press isn't absolutely necessary. It's just going to make your life easier. So sockets, gives you all the size sockets you may need. Torx keys, Allen keys, ratchets, extensions, various size pry bars, new razor blades, denatured alcohol, Loctite, etc., etc. So the instructions are fairly detailed. If you've done any involved work with cars in general, then you should be able to handle this. Just take your time. I would recommend reading the instructions front to back in their entirety before you do anything, just so you can get an idea of, the way things are supposed to go. And make sure you have everything you need and you're able to do all the processes before you even start. So like I said, they're very detailed. The instructions come with pretty clear pictures. If for some reason they aren't clear enough for you, I have all of this stuff on digital files, so I can send it to you digitally. That way you can zoom in or whatever if you need. So it's all there. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out, send me a message, or post on the page, anything you'd like. This kit runs, if I remember correctly, I think around $320. But if you get it with the differential, you do get a discount. And we do everything through PayPal, so customers are protected with all their purchases. And all OEM parts are used in all the necessary areas, like bearings. And it's very important that OEM bearings are used for this type of installation, because you are checking and adjusting the rotational torque for the differential. And it's important to use the same exact type of bearing and brand to rule out any variables that will change the height of the differential assembled into the transmission. You are using a different differential, so there will be some differences as far as how much it will be squished between the halves. So we want to get rid of any extra variables that we possibly can to remove any potential of running out of the right size shim or anything of that nature. This kit is put together, the shim pack that GM has for these are designed for the bearings that they come with. Now, that's not to say that an SKF brand bearing or FAG bearing will be that much different, but again, to rule out all variables that could potentially make the installation more of a hassle than it needs to be, use the OEM stuff. It just makes sense, and it's good quality stuff. It's Timken stuff. These are actually manufactured in France. I haven't had any issues with the quality of bearings manufactured in the Timken bearings manufactured in France or Poland. So take that for what it's worth. And like I said, if you guys have any questions about the kit or anything else, feel free to message me or post on my page, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. All right, guys, thanks. Have a good one.